welcome to another edition of the Above the Bridge podcast. I'm your host, Thaddeus. This is episode 60. Shout out to our sponsors. First off, we have Defend Hawaii. If you go on Defend Hawaii's website, log on to their website, defendhawaii.com. Figure out what you guys need. Use promo code ATBPOD upon checkout. You receive 15% off your entire purchase order. defendhawaii.com. Second, we have IREP Detail Supply. If you go on their website, IREP Detail Supply Company, irepdetailsupply.com. Figure out what you need for your car to detail it, waxes, polishes, soaps, whatever you want. Upon checkout, ATB Pod, you'll receive 15% off your entire purchase order. Last but not least, we have Hawaii Candy Factory. If you go on their website, hawaiicandyfactory.com, they have a bunch of different local snacks with lihimui gummies. Check them out. Upon checkout, ATB Pod, and you'll receive 10% off your entire purchase order. So this week on my podcast, this guest means a lot to me. He been my business partner and a longtime friend, someone who's very close to me. He recently came out of a health scare, and we'll talk a lot about it. It's Peter Lanting and his wife, Suzanne Lanting, is Hardcore 808 Nutrition Company. Welcome to my show, guys. How you guys doing?
Thank you for having us. What an honor.
Thank you guys for coming on. Man, I've known you guys forever. Peter, we've done so much things together. We've done a lot of crazy stuff together through the clubs and through Artist Group Network. And let's see, how's your guys' nutrition shop going on right now?
We just made 15 years. It's been an amazing ride. Some tough rides, some, ups and downs, but lately it's been amazing and we've just been blessed.
So how did you even decide to get into nutrition and doing your shop?
Right. So 15 years ago, well, I was always into lifting and weight training and whatnot. My friend, he actually owned the shop. And it was called Nutri Shop. And, he asked me to come work with him. And when I got into the shop, I loved it that much and I just went with it. Later, I bought him out and me and my wife just started running the show all together, and it's been history after that.
Yes, I really enjoy going to your shop. It has a lot more than like what GNC would have. And of course I get to see you guys, and it's definitely something that I know you're passionate about. So I figured it would be a kind of match for both of you guys to get into something like that. So you guys been competitors in fitness. What is exactly that you guys compete in?
We compete in bodybuilding shows locally and on the mainland. How long has it been? I started competing first, actually. He just started like over 2 years ago, believe it or not.
I know. I try to get him to compete for at least like how many years?
I never wanted to compete.
He was like, yeah, hell no. I would never go up there and see and then like 48 years old.
I did my first show. Yeah. And my second show at 49, I got my pro card. She's been doing it.
Yeah, off and on for years. 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, you guys definitely are the perfect couple match with the same kind of mindset. I know it's not easy to compete in those situations. I think for me, the hardest thing would probably be the dieting.
Everybody, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But you guys are probably the most fittest people I have ever met. And yeah, I always try to inspire to look like you guys, but yeah, it's not working out as well as I wanted to.
Great.
I know. I worked out with Peter. I remember the first time I worked out with him at 24 Hour Fitness, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do whatever you do. And I remember the first things that we were doing was chess. And we did all our chest exercise and I was done. And then he said, okay, last thing, we're going to do push-ups until failure. And I swear to God, I could do like 2 and I couldn't move. I was shaking and I'll never forget that. Like in the middle of the gym, I couldn't even do 2 push-ups. And I was like, oh, the way Peter trains, and I assume yourself too, like is probably a lot different than most people because I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
I was able to do it eventually, but those first couple of times, I don't know if you remember, but I always remember it was rough.
Well, you're kind enough to let me move into your house. You let me and my son 7 move into your apartment, and I mean, it was such a great time. Thank you for that, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we
Hey,
because of that.
to this day, you probably was one of my most funnest roommates ever. Yo, we had a lot of fun, and it was like good fun. Like we wasn't doing naughty stuff, but we had a lot of laughs. And one of the biggest things that meant the most to me, like you said, when 7 would come over and I would see you interact with 7. And at that time, I didn't have a kid or anything. And watching you and 7 interact, I always wanted that for myself. And once I had my daughter, I patterned a lot of my parenting the way you parent 7, and the closeness and the love and how you guys connected. That always resonated in my head. And that's always what I tried to do with my daughter. And I think it's working, but it definitely set like a baseline for how to parent. And I definitely took a lot of notes, and I definitely utilized a lot of the things you did and interactions you had with 7.
No, means a lot.
Yeah.
Seriously.
The only thing I really didn't like about you living at my house was your vegetarian sausage packs, bro.
Was he always a picky eater too?
Oh yeah. Yup. He would order a chicken sandwich without the bread, and he would hold it like this.
I don't remember that.
I remember that he had these breakfast sausage patties, and I'm like, oh yup, we get breakfast sausage, and I'll cook it up, and it's like vegan, and it tasted like cardboard. You remember those?
I still eat them. It tastes amazing.
Was it the same one?
I don't know.
I don't know what it was, but I remember that. And she's like, you're like, yeah, it's good. I'm like, yeah. Fuck, I gotta go McDonald's after this. Yeah. But
I think
what is that?
he's still the same picky eater. Worse.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it works. I mean, he's very in shape, and I remember the first time I seen him without a shirt, I was like, oh, he looks like GSP. Like but the reason why I had you on this show, you guys went through a traumatic experience a year ago, and it's like you were explaining to me earlier, it's been a year since everything happened, and to be talking to you now definitely means a lot. And this story I know firsthand, and it inspires me and people I know. But I think hearing about your guys' ordeal as a family is something that I want to know more about, and I'm sure other people need to be inspired by what happened. And it all started off with this stupid pandemic, and kind of started like that. And it's been a crazy year, man. Especially for you guys.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning. Like, what really happened?
All right. Well, so my 1-year anniversary is coming up, August 13th, of when I started having symptoms.
It was actually our daughter Sienna's 10th birthday.
Friday the 13th.
It was Friday the 13th.
Oh shit.
So, a couple days before, me and two of my, me and my best friends were supposed to be in a wedding. So we went to go get our tuxedo. One of my friends was sick, and he's coughing in the car, and I guess I got sick from him. I didn't show no symptoms. I even got a COVID test the day after, and me and her, we tested negative, and
his friend tested positive, and everybody else in the wedding tested negative. But we didn't think anything because we tested negative, right?
Yeah, and then the day. So that was 2 days before the 13th, and then on the 13th, as I came home and we fell asleep, I started feeling a little weird. And I was like, oh no, like I better get away from my wife. So I went downstairs to fall asleep. And then I just started getting all the symptoms. The next day, all the way till about 7 days, I couldn't breathe already. I couldn't even get up. I told her to call the emergency, the ER. They came, picked me up. And, since then I was in the hospital.
So the ambulance came and get you, or?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oxygen was like at 72 or 73%. My what is it called?
Your oxygen. Yes.
My oxygen level. Yeah.
Oh wow. 72%.
So we all got sick at home, Sienna, Seven, and I, but we didn't have it as bad as he did. He had it really bad. He had a really, really bad cough. And I always would tell him, like, at least get your lungs checked, because knowing that the virus attacks our lungs, right?
Yeah.
But
I was hard head.
Guys, I don't know if it's a guy.
I was like, no.
He didn't want to take his essentials, his vitamins, didn't want to go get checked. And, I made sure, even if I was really sick, I made sure everybody was eating, and I was moving around a lot.
I was just on the couch, just doing nothing, watching TV, and just hoping that it would go away. It didn't go away, man. And the ambulance came, picked me up, took me to the hospital, and put me on oxygen. And for the first, I would say, it was 7 days passed, and I was on oxygen, and I kept calling her. I was fine. I was like, the COVID, all the symptoms were gone. My fever broke. My, sore throat, coughing, everything went away. It's just my breathing. I just had to be on oxygen.
Actually, he could have gone home, but they wanted to keep him a little bit longer to improve his oxygen. But what we should have done was take him home with,
oxygen tank. Yeah.
Right. And we had planned a family trip to Orlando, which was the following week. And he was well enough to leave. Like, we pushed our flights back, and we told, our kids and our sister and friends that we'll meet you guys, a day or two after, because knowing he was going to come out, but that didn't happen. They started giving him, they started following their hospital protocols with all the medications and procedures. And one day his heart went up, heart rate went up. They gave him a heart med, and that affected him. And then, like, maybe an hour and a half later, they gave him 2 different heart meds, one through IV and one oral. And I was like, why so much medications? Like, he doesn't take medications. He's never been hospitalized.
Yeah.
He does not take any, even over-the-counter stuff. We don't take that kind of stuff, right? We've never been sick for a very long time. We never got our flu shots for over 25 years. Like, we don't get sick. And I was like, why are you giving him so much medications? Like, he's sensitive to stuff like that, and
they never kind of talk to you, like what the plan was, or before they pushed anything.
No, they just gave it to him. And so I was like, the first time his heart rate went up, and I was like, because I would do my research on whatever medicines they would give him. I was like, maybe it's this one, because ever since you started giving him this medication, he wasn't feeling good already, and doctors like, maybe, that's a possibility. But yeah, so after they gave him those 3 heart meds, I was like, please watch him. Make sure you watch him overnight, because this was nighttime already. I was like, please make sure you watch him, because that's a lot of freaking meds. And
Yeah.
What I remember is them giving me the heart meds, and then they're telling me because my heart rate was so high, they called in a code blue or something, and then all the doctors, all the nurses came running in. They took off my gurney, put on tape, and they was about to, give me
Shock
the
you.
shock.
Yeah. Oh, really? And you're
Yeah.
totally coherent, like all you're knowing everything that's going on.
What's going on? I'm fine.
Because he doesn't feel, he wasn't feeling anything with his heart,
Oh,
having any symptoms like he was having a heart attack or anything.
it's just showing on the monitor that something's wrong.
But I didn't know that they came in with a cold blue. They didn't even tell me that. So, it was so weird. But that's all
because
he
she
remembers.
wasn't there. She wasn't allowed there at that time. It was only
But they weren't
her.
letting people in the hospital because of COVID restrictions or whatever.
Yes.
So, that night, that's when everything turned for the worse. When I said, please make sure you watch him, they called me about 1:30 in the morning that morning. And they were like, oh, he's not doing good. He's having a hard time breathing. And I'm like, what? What's going on? And they're like, oh, do you want to talk to him? So they put him on the phone, and he was like, Mom, I can't breathe. And that's all he could tell me. And then the nurse was telling me, oh, they might intubate him. I'm like, oh my God, no, please. Because we had this discussion before that we don't want him to go on an intubator, because we know the chances are once you go on there,
Yeah. So the intubator is when they put a tube in and then they attach oxygen to breathe for like a respirator, right?
Yeah. So I was like, please let me know what the doctors decide before you do anything. They're like, okay. So hour and a half passed by. Nobody calls me. I call them back, and they're like, oh, the doctor's still discussing what options. I'm like, okay, please, let me know what's going on before you guys do anything. And then, another hour and a half passes by. I call again, and then this nurse answers, and he's like, I can't talk right now. They're intubating him, and he freaking hangs up the phone.
What?
And I'm like, and I'm home alone at 1:30 in the morning, and I just like dropped to my knees. It's like, what? What the heck, right? It's not like I could run down there, do anything. Like I was.
Oh, so communication on their side was horrible then.
Nobody called me. I'm like, do not put him on intubator until you tell me what's going on. So like over 2.5 hours passed, between those times. Nobody called me to tell me how he was doing, what they were doing, what the options were. They just did it without telling me.
This kind of sounds illegal. Huh.
Well, they said I signed something.
Yeah.
Right?
So when I looked at his hospital notes, like days later, it said that they asked him if he wanted to be unventilated, and he said yes. But that wouldn't sound like him.
Yeah.
To to that, unless I don't know.
Yeah.
I will never.
You wouldn't
know.
even take Tylenol. Like I remember
what happened between those 2.5 hours, because the hospital notes.
Wow. Did it had your signature on it?
No.
No. Shit, they could have just said that then.
Yeah. I don't know.
But... And on my end as a friend, it was weird because I would see your videos, you would text me, I'd text, hey, love you, bro. I hope everything's good. Yeah, I'm fine. And then I remember one day I text you and then I never got a response. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's resting or whatever. So I text you again in the morning and not a response. And I think that's like when all this stuff started happening.
So when they intubated him was when our family arrived in Florida that morning. And the doctor called me later that morning, and all he told me was, be prepared. He didn't say nothing like, I'm sorry, we're going to try to do anything we can to help him get out of this. Like nothing like that. He just told me, be prepared. And I couldn't understand what he meant until I hung up, and I was like, what the heck is he talking about? Like they were preparing for him to not make it. Like
I know. so that day, the second time I text and you didn't respond, I would say maybe 2 hours later, well, okay, wait. Okay. Frank called me. I was at work. So Frank called me. I was at work, and he told me that be prepared. I lost it right at work. Went home, and then
It's okay. We all gotta cry it out sometimes, right?
okay. Sorry. So then Frank called me and he told me that same thing, be prepared. And I left work. I was a wreck, and I prayed. I drove home and I was praying, and I was like, it's not his time yet. Like, I felt like it wasn't. So so I prayed, and I felt like it wasn't your time. So I kind of got my thoughts together and my strength, and I was like, there's no way. And it was like super real, because it's like one of us, you know what I mean? Like, you hear like people, I heard, oh, so and so got COVID, you're not gonna make it or whatever, but this time it was one of us. And it was so frightening. I was like, how can that happen? Because I just texted him. I just seen a video of him laughing and smiling, and like, I'm one more day here or whatever. And that's how it was. And yeah, it was a weird moment. And I think, like I told you after, as like, there's so much I had to tell you before that. So that was my fear, was losing you, and you wouldn't know how I felt about you, which we're not going to get into because I already told you. So anyway, go ahead. So I was just telling you my perspective at that moment in time.
But for me, I was everybody wasn't home. Everybody was in Florida. I was by myself.
She was by
I
herself.
was lost. Like, I couldn't understand what the doctor meant until he hung up, and I was like, fuck that. I was like, that's not happening. Like, from that moment on, like, I just kept myself, as crazy as it sounds, like, as positive as I could, because I knew, and I told myself that I would do everything to get him out of there.
Yeah.
You know, and I stuck with that belief the whole 89 days until he came home. You know, and that's a long time. Every day I had to, you know, just keep myself strong. And I prayed like I've never prayed so much in my life. And a lot of weird spiritual things was happening along the way. And I had so many signs and new people that came into my life during those times that helped me, you know, get through it.
And, you know, a lot of people say how strong I am and, you know, what I endured, but I was knocked out. I was gone. I was in a coma. I was nowhere. My mind was in La La Land. And
so you're in a medically induced coma with the ventilator.
Yeah, and she
they had to medically induce him in a coma, and they had to fully paralyze him. The ventilator was doing 100% of his breathing, so he wasn't even breathing at all on his own.
Oh, what I was trying to say is that she had to deal with all that. So for me, she is the strength of all this, you know, like to endure and deal with what I was going through, you know, the love that she gave me, and everything is just wow, superwoman.
I definitely agree to that. And while everything was happening, she would give us updates, and every single update, she'd tell us what happened. And right immediately after that, be strong, stay positive, and like Ronnie, hey, you know Ronnie, he'd fly off the handle. Why the doctor's doing this? He'd call me up and get me all riled up and let's go down, we'll go talk to him right now. And then Suzanne like would talk to Ronnie, and Ronnie called me up and said, no, we just got to be strong. We putting negative energy out there. Suzanne wants us to be strong. So okay, we'll do it. And all of your friends drew from her strength, because I mean, we may be strong, but our mind wasn't strong enough to deal with something like that together. Because like our helplessness what is very, like, you know, Ronnie likes to control a situation that he's in, right? So for him to not be able to control that situation was hard, and for all of us. So we wanted to do something. We wanted to talk to the doctor. We wanted to go down there, and Suzanne was like, no worries, like keep everything positive.
I wanted to do I tried to do a lot of things on my end, considering I could even go in there, but they were like, they didn't want to do anything. They didn't even want to give him vitamins or any minerals that I asked them to.
That was crazy.
So what was the medical like the doctor's thought process how to treat you?
You know, they blamed everything on COVID, and I asked like why they gave these medication, and all they kept telling me was that's the protocol. That's the protocol of medications that they need to give, you know, COVID patients. But I'm like, but not everybody's the same, and not everybody reacts to medication, especially him. He's never been hospitalized, you know, and when they put him on a ventilator, he was on so much narcotics, like 100 times stronger than morphine kind of stuff. Yeah. And I understand that they have to use, you know, those things to when they ventilate people, but you know, because he's so sensitive that when they started to wean him off, he was having horrific withdrawals, you know, like a drug addict. And so while they were trying to wean him off the vent, and when they were trying to wean him off the narcotics, he would have the withdrawals, and then he would fight with the vent. So it was like a roller coaster for a long time. And that's why he was on a ventilator for 58 days, was because they were trying to play with the narcotics and how his body was reacting to it, and trying to work with the ventilator, adjusting all the settings. It was very, very difficult.
Yeah. I don't remember majority of all that from when my induced coma, coming out of the coma, being on the ventilator. I don't remember nothing except a few dreams and crazy dreams, which we can go on another topic on that one day. But I do remember seeing her in the hospital in front of me. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, because, you know, I was able to remember that nobody was allowed in the hospital. But then I see her. I'm like, what are you doing here? I was just freaking out. And then later, as I was talking, well, I wasn't even talking because I still had the vent in me.
They did a trachea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he had the ventilator that goes to your mouth. For kind of long, and they wanted to remove it and do a tracheotomy where they put it through the throat, because he was having such a hard time and he wasn't handling the one going through his mouth. But they tested him for COVID, and of course he tested positive. And because he tested positive, they didn't want to do the procedure. And I'm like, of course, why would you test him for that? And like, why wouldn't you do the procedure, right? Like, I was so upset. So like 4 days passed by, and finally the doctor was like, you know, we're gonna do the tracheotomy. And she told me good luck. And then she told me it was her last day there, because you know how they had a lot of traveling nurses and doctors.
Oh yeah.
was from the mainland, and she just told me good luck. Like, I was like,
What the?
like 4 days, like 4 grueling days, for him to suffer. I was so upset, but I was just thankful that they were able to do, the surgery, and everything went well. And I was like, oh, thank God. But so
Yeah.
And you're clueless to everything. Like you didn't know they did that, or
No.
yeah. So he developed like a whole list of crazy infections, being hospitalized for so long. All these hospital-induced infections, and so he was like on a ton of antibiotics, and they even put him on antidepressants, and I'm like, why are you giving him antidepressants? He wasn't even alert. He wasn't coherent. Like, and
how
they're
would
like,
you
oh,
know he's depressed?
right, possible depression. I'm like, possible? Like, he can't even communicate, or he can't even respond to you and your commands. Like, I was like, get him off this medication. They're like, oh, we can't just stop it. We have to wean him off. So it took like 2 weeks for them to wean him off that. And they would just keep giving him meds after meds. I'm like, why? It's like, stop. Like, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
He was on so much medications,
And like you said, for someone who doesn't take meds, and I can relate, because like I'm allergic to aspirin. I don't take anything. I take nothing. I don't take Tylenol, nothing. So
a lot of those medications, like their side effects are horrific. Like he already was having problems with breathing, and he had heart failure too. So those things affect your blood pressure, your heart. Like, I don't, like, why? How do you know that these medications are not the one that's affecting his heart?
Yeah, it seems like they would give him meds, and this was what was frustrating all of us. It seemed like they were giving him meds, and then the meds would do something to him, and then they would have to counteract those meds with other meds.
Yeah.
And then it was like, what are they doing?
That's exactly what happened.
It was a vicious cycle with meds. Like, they gave him one med for his heart rate to slow it down. Then it would be too low. Then they'll have to give him another one to raise it up. Things like that. I was like,
Wow.
I kept, every day I printed his hospital notes. I printed all his medications, and I did my research. I looked up every single medication, the side effects. I did all of that every day.
Every day she was doing that.
That's kind of weird, because the doctor should at least put some kind of acknowledgement to somebody who knows you more. Like, the doctor doesn't know him from the next patient, but you know him thoroughly inside and out. Like, so you could probably give a lot more insight to how to treat him. So that, like, it's kind of weird they wouldn't listen.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work that in the hospital. And there are so many doctors working on his case, because you know how they would always switch out.
Yeah.
It was hard to just have one or a couple doctors just knowing his whole entire case from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because they switch doctors all the time. Like, a doctor would be there for 4 weeks or 2 weeks, and then they change the doctor again. And they, how do we know the doctor is going all the way back to when I first got in there and knowing everything that happened?
Yeah, and guarantee they didn't read all the notes.
Right. It was very lengthy.
Yeah.
3 months. 3 months in the hospital. And I remember the first 2 weeks, and I remember only the last 2 weeks. Everything else, I don't remember.
That's probably, that's crazy. So as you're coming out, like, how does this happen? So they start weaning him off certain meds, and then he's coming out of it? Or
before that, they called me to have a meeting. What do you call that? A palliative meeting, to prepare families with, their family member that's in a hospital, to prepare, like, if this was to happen, what are your plans, right? It was a very scary meeting.
Oh, yeah.
2 doctors and a chaplain, and we sat in a room, all 6 feet apart. It was so quiet. I felt like it was in a AA meeting or something. I've never been to, it was a quiet room, and they were just like, do you know everything that's going on with him? I said, I read the notes every day, so I know. And if I have any questions, I ask, but I pretty much know already. And they're like, oh, so he's they put him on a long-term weaning protocol on the ventilator. They had put him on a long-term ventilator weaning protocol, and they were telling me, okay, so they're gonna plan to send him like in a nursing home. Like, will you be okay with that? I'm like, no, nursing home, because they expected him to be discharged to a nursing home and still be on a ventilator. I was like, it's like, oh, are you willing to go through, learning how to, operate the machine and stuff? And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. And they're just looking at me like I'm crazy, right? I'm like, I'm positive that he's going to come out of here without the ventilator. That I'm going to get him out of here. I'm going to take him home, without it. And they're just looking at me like speechless, like, because they didn't see that. They didn't see that. Like, they really expected him to be on a ventilator for I don't know how long. But I told them that, and they were just like, okay, whatever.
Well,
yeah.
You knew best. You knew best.
Right?
As the drugs were wearing out, all I remember is that I couldn't speak yet. I was still getting fed through a feed tube.
Through your stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah, he still had the trach.
I still had the trach.
And he's still on the ventilator.
Yes.
Okay. But you're getting more alert and aware.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once the drug started slowly weaning off.
Okay.
They told me, I always ask them, oh, what do I have to do to get out of here? And, they give me all these things. What I gotta do? So I work to get these things knocked out. They said, oh, you gotta be able to eat first or drink and, be able to swallow and whatnot. You got to be able to walk. You got to be able to get out of the bed, put your socks on. These are all little things I had to work on.
Tell him about when you first started getting your memory back slowly.
So as my memory was coming back, I knew who she was, but I totally forgot her name.
He would what are you doing here? I
remember her eyebrows, and she'd say, okay. And I knew Sienna, our daughter that we have together. I remember her clearly because that's one of the people that was in my mind constantly, was my daughter. And I was always thinking about her. And when I see her, I was like, is my daughter from you? Or did I have her from someone else? She must have been thinking I was like crazy. And then are you serious? And I also had to ask her, like, what is your name? Like, I know it starts with a S, but what is your name? I don't know your name.
I was like, are you serious? You don't know me? So I started showing pictures on my phone, right? And he looked at it, and he would look at me like, who are you? Who I
couldn't think of her name. I was thinking if I had other names. I didn't want to say it because wrong, which I was wrong, but I did not say it. And she finally told me. I was like, oh, I don't know. I was kind of happy. It made me happy that, okay, yeah, Suzanne, now I remember. Yeah, that's one thing that happened coming out, and my memory started coming back.
Yeah, so when he started waking up and being more alert, he couldn't write. He couldn't even hold a pen. He couldn't hold his phone. He couldn't do anything. So, but while he was still out, right, I would massage his hand, let him practice holding a pen. I would do all this little mobility stuff. And it was very hard. And he started, and then, as days went by, he started scribbling. He's been able to hold a pen and started writing little things just to get his memory back. Because we don't know what he could remember, right?
Yeah. It's like a haze.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember getting that video when you're holding a teddy bear.
Oh yeah, it was so he spent his 50th birthday
51st.
oh no. Oh yeah, 51st.
First.
He spent his 51st birthday in the hospital, and Sienna got him that teddy bear and the balloon.
Yeah, and that's where that came from. It was my birthday gift from Sienna.
I thought I was like, oh, he's moving, he's alert, like is starting to look better. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, when I seen those pictures, I look like death. Like
And
I
you know
was.
what? I took a lot of, when I was FaceTiming with him while he was out. I took a
Yeah.
lot of. I recorded it. I don't know if you
Yeah.
were ever, with him, but I don't know if I
I
told you.
seen some. Yeah. I seen some videos. Yeah.
I would record it every time I talked to him, or you guys would jump on the call. He hasn't seen any of it.
I haven't
Oh.
seen
He
it.
hasn't seen a lot of videos and photos that I took. He wasn't ready to see it.
Yeah. I could understand that.
Yeah, he wasn't prepared to know exactly everything that happened. He still doesn't know till this day. And whenever he's ready, that's why I told him, don't look at my phone then, because yeah. So
But yeah, back to getting out. I fought through it. I did everything I had to do. It was the hardest thing to just even sit up and hold my head up. My head felt like a freaking bowling ball, and I couldn't breathe. Like I was, on oxygen still, and helping me to breathe. But I fought through it, and every day the PT nurse would come and, okay, Peter, time to get up. You got to get up. You got to try to sit down. You got to take a few steps. And every day I kept doing it, and I kept setting my mind like I can do this. And then to that day, like I finally got out. I was like, I was so actually I was super excited to get out, but then I still was scared, like because I felt sheltered being there. I felt like if something was to happen to me, they got me. I was
Yeah.
scared
Yeah.
because she was the one that's going to be my caregiver and take care of me. And I was scared because I was like, how am I going to breathe? Like, oh, you got oxygen tanks. Like, no, but what if the oxygen tanks run out?
yeah, they wanted to send him to rehab.
Yeah.
Rehab to stay there for weeks, like
But I said
overnight.
no.
But we didn't want him
I
to
said,
go.
nope, I'm
He didn't
going
want to
home.
go. So I was like, I'll take care of him 24/7. I'll rehab him myself. Yeah, it was very difficult, but we did it. Yeah.
Well, I felt like once you were alert and had uh like a task, or like you had a goal to reach, that's when I knew things are going to be okay, because I know your mentality, and I know your drive, and I know your willingness to fight, and to hard work. So I knew once they set challenges for you, I was like, Peter's gonna be good, because he won't fail. Like his mind is too strong for that stuff. Like just your work ethic, how you train, and it's like, especially if it's something physical, I'm like, there's no way Peter's not gonna do this. Like, and I felt like that's when things started to turn, and you had more of a chance because you had control of your own destiny. So it's like, I would bet on you every day of the week. You know what I mean? It's not as simple as that, but
It definitely played a huge role, considering that he was physically active. We lived a lifestyle every day. That
Yep.
made a huge difference. The challenges that he had was because he had scarring in his lungs, right? And he had a heart failure, so it affected his heart. So he's fully healthy. he has no underlying health issues, right? So, his heart is not diseased, his arteries are clean. The only thing is that his heart is weakened, his ejection fraction, was severely low, 20%. Normal is like 60. So, coming home with, I think it was less than 20% when he came home. Coming home with your heart being severely weak, trying to pump blood and oxygen throughout your body. To be honest, it's very scary because you just don't know. And during that time, he would have irregular heartbeats. His, electrical firing and wiring with his heart wasn't normal yet. So he would have episodes of his heart rate going up, and he would feel like this weird flutters in his heart. It was scary. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
We had a couple of scary calls. He had to go. I took him to the emergency room twice in January and February because going to the doctor wouldn't make sense. You might as well go to the ER and they'll check you. They'll check for everything and run all kind of tests.
Yeah.
But his visits, everything was good. Nothing was wrong with his heart. He wasn't having a heart attack or anything. But for months, it was scary. But we pulled through it. We just kept it positive and
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Mind you, I lost 50 pounds too. I was 100. I was about 145 pounds going into the hospital. Coming out
Of all muscle, like you were ripped, like it was muscle.
He had like 2% body fat.
I was less than 10%
It's
body
just
fat.
pure muscle. He was like a skeleton coming out, and he developed, being so like no body fat and being so bedridden for so long, he developed this huge bed sore.
Oh yeah, decubitus.
It was like to the bone. That's how bad.
Oh,
It was pretty bad, and it hurt like heck.
I can show you
oh
pictures.
yeah. I've seen it before working in the hospital, and I know how they treat it. They gotta pack it with gauze and
Yeah.
I had to clean it all the time. And
oh, that doesn't smell good either. Sorry, bro.
didn't breathe.
She didn't read. She had to do a lot, Thaddeus, man. I tell you this.
Like he couldn't even walk to the bathroom. Even if the bathroom was just a few steps, he couldn't get up to walk. Like
So she had to clean me up.
Yep.
She did everything. And she did everything, Dad. I tell you what. Oh man, she got my back. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's seen that.
Yeah.
I would get from the nurses, like always telling me, "Oh man, your wife, she got your back." They would tell me. They would walk in and they'd see the video of the FaceTime of her FaceTiming me, and they walk in and it's like, "Who's this talking to you?" There's nobody in the room. They're freaking out, but it was her talking to me while I was knocked out. I was in my coma, and it's like, "Oh, we trip out on how strong your wife is."
Exactly.
Amazing. They would praise her so much. They say, "Wow, you got your wife loves you so much," and I gotta thank her. I don't thank her every day, but I should. I love her. I love her. And she got me, man. I tell you.
Yep. And Ronnie would tell me, Suzanne's talking to her on FaceTime. It's like your voice could heal. You know what I mean? Like no matter any little thing that you could think of to help, she would do. And it's like that's what love is, right? That's till death do you part. And it was amazing to see in action that it's like Suzanne is so down for Peter, like, but it was a testament to what true love is, because in this day and age you don't see it that often. You see negative shit, and out of all this negative stuff, that was something that I picked up on. I was like, that's real. Like true love is super real. And it started to get my opinion about true love to be kind of moving in a more positive direction. It's kind of crazy to think like that, but it's like everybody's always down, like, oh yeah, I got your back no matter what. If something were to happen, I got you. But to actually do it and see it and run it harder than anything is amazing. And I mean, it's super cool.
But so fast forward to where I am now. So let me give you some dates. August 13th, I got sick. Admitted me August 22nd or 21st. Came out of the hospital November 19th.
Okay.
And then every month since then, I've just been excelling in every sense of aspect in life. I just got my echocardiogram for my heart done on last week Thursday, and everything has been going up. And she has all the notes on what had happened, but
Yeah.
so
So
if you
his
can remember.
cardiologist appointment is not until next week, but we got the results the day after. So it's been 3.5 months since his last echocardiogram, and his ejection fraction back in March was 20%, and today it's 25.
So it went up 5%.
Which is great,
Yeah.
Considering how he's been feeling and all the stuff he's been able to do and accomplish, being active and lifting weights and walking every single day, 5% makes a huge difference. Not
I
only
can feel it.
yeah, he definitely can feel it, and not only that, but his general back in March, his whole heart was just really severely weak, like slow moving, pumping, but now it's mild.
Okay. So it's progressing.
Everything is progressing.
I mean, it's gonna take time. What's good is that his heart is not diseased, so that helps a lot. It's just that it got weakened from all the trauma, infections, the medications, just being hospitalized for so long. And our heart is a muscle, so that can definitely
Get
strengthen
stronger
again.
just by exercising. And that's why
Exercising, eating good, not stressing, positive mindset, all that stuff.
So the progression since you came out, like from not being able to kind of move around, we would watch. Is kind of documented on Instagram. You'd let all of us know by your actions, and we'd see it. Like it would be, today I walk for this long. I walked here for this long, and then I'll look, and it would show you lifting weights. I'm like, oh, he's doing the bar. Oh, he has some weights on it, and it's a visual progression, and it's pretty cool that you have documentation of it, because you went from GSP super model, like ripped, and then like you said, you lost 50 pounds of your skin and bones. You couldn't even walk or go to the bathroom, to where you are building yourself back up to how you are now. And I know this isn't the end goal. I know you got a lot more to rehab, but talking to you now and just looking at your face, bro, like you look like Peter. Like it was hard to see when you were messed up, and like you're bone, and like you're frail, and it's like I've never seen you like that. I've seen you strong and Peter, and to where you are now it's amazing what your mind and your will can do. Because I know, like, if someone with a weak mind, they probably wouldn't have made it. I mean, honestly, like,
I always tell him, like, if there's anything that has to be a priority, it's your mind. You got to believe it, right? You got to set your mind to what you want and what you believe is
going to
happen.
Yeah.
Before you do anything else. If you don't have a strong mind, like you said, it's going to be hard. You're going to make your progression even slower.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I know, like, for Peter, I know that you're very quick to see results. Like, I know you get motivated by results. So I know it's not coming as fast as you want it. It could be discouraging. And that's where probably Suzanne comes in and be like, shut up. Like you making progression. But
Gosh,
Yes.
you obviously know him so well. Like,
oh
every
yeah.
single day, I have to deal with it. And it's, it's yeah.
I remember just from when we used to work out, he used to complain about his calves forever. And I was like, bruh, your calves are better than mine. Like, he's like, no, I want it bigger. You remember that? But it's I know your results may not be as fast as you want, but like you said, like the small increments take time. But then if you were to stop right now and look backwards, that's a chunk of progress, bro. Like a huge chunk of progress.
You just told me that today.
I tell him that every day. Thank you so much for telling him, because I feel that he needs to hear it from other people and not me. Like, you telling him something, for someone else to tell him, it comes out different.
Well,
I tell him that every day.
Well, it is, as like Dad said, I want to see results quick and fast, and that's just my mindset. Like I want to get there, but then I know it takes time. I tell people that all the time. That's why you just got to keep doing it on a daily basis, and eventually I'll get there. But I put myself in this situation where I want to get there quicker. I put myself harder. That's all. Nothing wrong. But I know.
Yes, I'm like, I always tell him, you're so, stop being so hard on yourself. Like, you've progressed so much. Like, you have more muscles than an average person within such a short period of time, considering you had no muscle. You were just bones. And look at you now, it's like, you have to look back and think, like you said, and I understand from his perspective, because he, had abs year round for long. And, he was all fit year round, and, work to that, it can get very frustrating for him, and, it takes time.
In a small, minute part, it became his identity. Like Peter, rip, muscle man, like NutriShot, like that was his identity. And maybe you felt like you lost some of who you were, but like you're like how you look isn't who you are. It's how you work for what you want is that's Peter.
This is my new journey. My new journey is to reinvent myself, to work hard, to just to show people that never quit. Don't quit. Believe in yourself and work for it. And this is my new journey right now. God gave me the second chance, and now I'm here helping. Well, I'm here doing what I need to do for myself, but hopefully I'll help heal and help someone else. Right?
Well, I think your example is inspiring, not only to me, but for anybody who hears your story and knows what you went through. It's like I said, it's a testament to hard work and love, but your mindset always kind of prevailed. But how does it feel? Like, say you see your pictures of how you used to look, and then now you see like, okay, I'm not there, but is
it
like
hard.
Okay.
Honestly, I mean, I beat myself up. Like, seriously, when I look in the mirror and I'm like training next to her and I see all her muscles and she's fit, and I'm like over here still huffing and puffing, and I want to get back to where I was, but then I gotta slap myself and say, hey, just take your time. You're getting there. Just be patient. But it's hard. It's not easy. But I'm doing it. I'm not gonna quit.
Oh yeah, that was never an option. That's not a thought.
Before, like, there's a lot of people that looks up to him. They come in all the time, send messages. They want to look like him. They want to, all the time, compliments left and right. Compliment his hair, everything. And that was his life, like,
Yep.
perfect body, right? Perfect physique. Everybody wants to look like him.
Perfect
Yeah,
hair.
perfect hair, young guys and ladies,
Yeah.
And I said, you know, don't worry, because you're gonna come back even better, and you have a purpose now. Back then,
Yeah.
like, what was your purpose really? Like, you were fit year round, everybody looked up to you, but what was your real purpose back then, right? But now it's a different story. Like, you have a purpose, to inspire, and you get messages every day, and random people come up to us all the time and say how he's been motivating them and help them get off the sofa and start working out,
Yeah.
taking care of their health, because they want to be there longer for their kids and grandkids. And, I was like, that's your why. That's your purpose now, You got this second chance in life to help inspire people in a different way.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's working. It's definitely working. And yeah, to see you progress and get your body filling out again, and like your face, bro. Your face just looks like Peter. It's super cool to see. Yeah. And I think the more you progress, the more motivated you'll be. And I mean, that goes with everything, right? And it's kind of awesome you guys have a fitness store. Like, that honestly is good marketing.
Well, that's why I was kind of ashamed to come to work, because then somebody would come in like, oh, I don't look like him. So I would hide in the back. But yeah, people know my story. They know.
Yep.
And there's some guys new customers that come in that don't know. But hey, it is what it is. And I just help them out and do what I can to help other people, and it's all good.
So future wise, like, what are your guys' goals and plans for like the next year or so? Like, what do you see your goals being set for the near future as well as like long term?
Well, near future, planning that trip that we never had last year.
Yeah.
Already
Yeah.
booked it at the end of the year, so that's one.
To
Celebrating,
Disney World.
yeah,
Yeah.
Disneyland with the family. So get to take our grandkids and our children. So
that'll be fun.
yeah, that's one. And then we connected with some people off island. We're gonna get together with them in March in Mexico. We have this retreat that we're going to.
It's a big function.
It's a big
nice
retreat. We're gonna meet some amazing, like-minded people, professionals, entrepreneurs. So that's one exciting. That's another exciting thing that's coming up. And just continuing what we do every day and
continue to heal.
Yeah.
Get my lungs functioning better and my heart, and just keep working.
Oh, we forgot to mention that he's been off all his meds since the beginning of this year.
Yeah. That's super cool.
And he's been off it.
So he's not taking anything then?
He hasn't, yeah.
Nothing.
Because they were giving him side effects. And one medication they gave him was for his cholesterol. And I'm like, nothing's wrong with his cholesterol. They said for preventive. I'm like, no, he's not going to take this.
You don't need to prevent something that's not going to happen.
He's been off, so he hasn't been on any medications. He's just been
that's awesome.
Naturally through working out, eating good, going on this holistic medical device that I have that he goes on every day. That's been helping him tremendously.
And I think honestly, your good positive mindset pushed a lot onto him to keep him motivated.
Yeah, everybody, you guys,
yeah. Trust me, you helped me a lot. Like I had, yeah.
I break down when people say they pray for me.
Oh yeah, I definitely prayed for you, 100% every night.
as much as I didn't want to be on social media to post stuff, but like I believe in the power of prayers, and that's why I put it out there. I wouldn't be on there all the time, but it really helped. Like it really helped.
Well, it really did. I know it did.
Well, at least you know you're loved, bro. You had a lot of people pulling for you, and you are somebody that a lot of people love and want around, dude.
Thank you, Dad, man.
Yeah. I want to know, what you gonna start riding motorcycle again?
He did.
What?
I jumped on my Harley a couple of days ago
when I wasn't home.
That sounds like Peter.
I know. He made Sienna record it. She's like, Dad's rode his bike. I'm like, what?
Now you gotta hide the keys.
But it's just around the block just to get comfortable and feel the bike and see how heavy it is. And it well, I could do it.
That thing's a big thing, man.
Yeah,
it's huge. It's heavy. It's a heavy bike, so that's why I was hesitant to ride it earlier. But I got my strength back. I can ride it. Yeah. When you gonna get your bike?
I don't know, man. I mean, I want one. I was just thinking about it too, but it's like, I don't know. Dude.
I had my chopper one year, and he had his bike, and he just opened it up on, was it the Poly? Or was it?
Yeah, leaky. Yeah.
He just opened it up, 100. I don't know where you went. I was like behind. I was trying to catch up, and he was so far ahead. I couldn't catch him.
See, that's why I cannot get a bike. I do too many dumb stuff on it. Maybe when my daughter's like married and stuff, it don't need me anymore. I miss it though. I definitely miss it. And I was with Frank last weekend, and I was explaining to him one of the best memories that I how through your life you have like certain memories that really stand out. One of my best memories was when we got to go to Toys for Tots, and we rode together, and that was something that stood out. I remember because I was tired sleeping. Frank was pounding on my apartment door, and he's like, "Get up!" And I was like, "No way, I'll go later." He's like, "No, you got to get up now, or you'll forever regret it." And I remember I went downstairs, and he didn't even have his bike. Both your bikes were in the studio. So I had to ride my bike by myself and follow him in his Durango. And then we got there, and then you were there. You guys got your bikes out. It took so long because you guys had these monster bikes in your small studio. And then we went Toys for Tots and went to Kapiolani and seen all the other bikes, went to San. It was one of the funnest days of my life. Like,
we don't have pictures. Do you have pictures?
I have pictures of you on my bike. Oh no, I have one of you on your chopper too.
Okay, I have that picture.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Maybe one day. Maybe that'd be my excuse. Oh, Peter wants me to get a bike. It'll help his healing process. So I got to.
That'd be cool.
That's super cool. Well, shoot, we've been going for over an hour. I know this was a heavy topic for, all three of us, but for you guys both to share, and I appreciate you talking to me about it. And I know that it is inspiring, and you guys do inspire people, not even because of this, even prior to this. I still see that Magnum box of supplements that you guys are both on. I was like, bro, that's my friends. That's crazy. But thank you guys for coming on. I do want to do a podcast with you, Peter, about our AGN days and all that stuff. Like,
awesome.
That we can do that sometime later, but that would be a fun podcast.
Follow up on my journey as well. And you'll see that, see how far I've come since this pod, and yeah, we'll go from there, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll check back. Well, I'll see you automatically, but we'll talk to you.
GSD, baby. GSD.
GSD, get shit done. That was our motto for years. GSD. That was Peter's motto. That was us. GSD. We got shit done when we had to, right?
Awesome.
But thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming on. This one means a lot. This is probably one of the most meaningful ones I've done. Yeah. I was saying
might have left out, you can always let us know. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's see, where can people find you? Obviously at your store. Where's your guys' store at?
So we're in the Harbor Center behind Cutter Ford and IAL. You can find us on Instagram, Hardcore 808 Nutrition Company. They can call us at 487
484-2220. Instagram. What's your Instagram?
PD Pablo. No.
Yep.
PD
What?
Pablo Fit Grandpa.
Yep.
PD Pablo Fit Grandpa. And you can find
This
her.
is Suzanne Lanting.
And you guys hardcore nutrition. You guys have a website too, right?
Or808.com.
Hardcore808.com. Yep.
Right on. And for us, you can always find us on our website, atbpod.com, and Instagram, Above the Bridge Podcast, as well as our YouTube page. And my Instagram is Thaddy Hi. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, I'm stoked you're still here. And I am very thankful I got to tell you how I felt about you. That was a cool moment. Yeah. And
For everything.
yeah, I'll see you guys soon, and love you guys, bro. Love you guys. All right, man. Shakas for the cameras. Okay, we're out. Shout out to the Artist Group Network. Aloha.